Hello, I'm Alan Fulton, Irrigation and Water Resources Advisor with the University of California Cooperative Extension. I work in the northern Sacramento Valley in Tehama, Glenn, Colusa, and Shasta counties. The title of this tutorial is Pairing a Water Budget with Monitoring Tree Water Status. I'd like to explore the idea of pairing a water budget, which utilizes our weekly crop ET reports, along with monitoring tree water status with a pressure chamber, as complementary tools that will help you make water management decisions in relation to when to irrigate, how often, and how much water to apply. In this tutorial, I'll discuss why pair the two approaches together, and if you are interested in doing so, what you can expect. And then we'll take a look at two case studies in Almonds that demonstrate the utility of the two tools when used together. So let's begin with thinking about why combining a climate-based approach such as a water budget based on our weekly crop ET reports and using the pressure chamber, midday stem water potential as a plant-based approach may make sense when used together. First of all, the water budget and use of our crop ET information is low cost. We provide the information to you on a weekly basis for free. Once you learn how to access it, understand the information, and relate it to your irrigation system and your orchard soils and their water holding capacity, you can begin to put the information to work. A water budget is a week-to-week indicator of your crop water needs. Not only is it a week-to-week indicator, but at the end of the year, it can also be a season-long indicator of the crop water use in relation to all the possible water supply sources for your crop. In comparison, tree water status is a bit more costly. It's been our experiences that when growers use it approximately once a week, or at least once every 2 weeks, to get a sense of the trends in tree water status over the course of the season, they will spend about $10 to $20 per acre to use the pressure chamber. The seasonal trends in tree water status can be related to tree growth and yield expectations. The seasonal trends in stem water potential can help us inform the challenging question and the uncertainties about the effective root zone of a perennial tree crop. And tree water status can help us optimize our irrigation costs and production. In comparison, when we operate just on a water budget alone, we are likely to maximize our water costs opposed to optimize. If you're interested in pursuing the use of these two techniques together, here are some suggestions. First of all, use tree water status as your primary gauge to trigger when the first irrigation of the season should commence. You can certainly conduct a water budget comparing the cumulative ET from the leaf out of your crop and relating it to the total plant water availability of your orchard soils to also estimate when to begin irrigating for the beginning of the season. And hopefully the two approaches will lead you to similar timings and be in agreement. But this is not always the case. And when this happens, you will have to make a decision on which information and approach you trust the most. Over time, I've learned to appreciate and trust the tree water status indicator as my first gauge in determining when to irrigate for the first time in the season. Once irrigation begins or commences, it may be adequate to match the weekly ET rates with irrigation. But with tree water status, you don't have to operate under that assumption. If you continue to monitor tree water status through the season, you can make adjustments. If you see tree water status is trending too wet, in other words, your measurements are consistently near the fully irrigated baseline or potentially exceeding it, then that's a signal to cut back your irrigation less than the weekly ET rates. If you see trending towards stem water potentials that indicate higher stress levels in your trees than you wish, this is an indicator to increase irrigation above the weekly ET rates. The weekly ET rates provide a point of reference in which to gauge your adjustments. The goal with tree water status in use with the water budget is to keep the tree water status within the optimum ranges as much as possible, not too wet and not too dry. At the end of the season with a water budget, you can make a year-end comparison where you compare all the water supplied to the seasonal cumulative ET and compare it to the seasonal cumulative ET to see if they are within a reasonable balance. When you use these two methods together, if you experience a large discrepancy occurs between the water budget and tree water status, it may indicate that the effective root zone and the source of plant available water is different than you originally assessed it to be. It's been my experience that the effective root zone is often larger, resulting in a greater supply of stored water that is available to meet the seasonal water supply. If there's a discrepancy, also be sure to double check your pressure chamber operation for good technique and for valid tree water status measurements. Let's take a look at two almond case studies from 2019 in Tehama County. These are two orchards that are in full production in their prime. Both orchards are uniform without much tree loss, but they are performing differently. Orchard number 28 tends to historically have been the higher yielding orchard, on the order of 500 to 700 pounds per acre on average, higher than orchard number 11. Orchard number 11 has routinely been of concern because it's a very vigorous orchard. There is concern about overshading and lower limb dieback, which may be affecting production potential, as well as lending itself to various foliar diseases such as hull rot and alternaria. Orchard 28 is further away to the west of the Sacramento River. It is upslope and thought of somewhat as a terrace soil opposed to a deep alluvial soil. As the soil map shows here, there are two soil series in this orchard: Moda loam, which is a deeper, more typical alluvial soil, and the Perkins gravelly loam, which is a bit more of a shallower soil with layering, and the subsoil definitely has a higher gravel content that affects the total water holding capacity of this soil profile. This is a graphic summarizing the water budget, comparing the seasonal ET to the seasonal applied water and rainfall that occurred after leaf out. What the graphic shows, the red line being crop ET, is that crop ET was estimated to accumulate to 44 inches from early April through early October. This is not the entire season, but it is the bulk of the season. The blue line is the applied water from microsprinkler irrigation, also including some rainfall in the months of April and May. You see there's a close parallel between the cumulative evapotranspiration line and rainfall line up until about mid-August. At that point, irrigation was interrupted, partly to try to help control hull rot and alternaria leading up to harvest, and also due to just the interruptions of the harvest activities. The other thing that this data shows is that the difference between crop ET and the applied water over this time frame was about 5 inches, and it appeared reasonable that the soil water storage from winter rainfalls could adequately make up this difference. So now the graphic on the right, it shows you the midday tree water status trends over the course of the season, the same time frame as the applied water in ET. On the vertical axis, we have graphed the pressure chamber measurements, They are expressed in bars below baseline, so they've been normalized against the fully irrigated baseline estimates. This is not the actual measurement taken with the pressure chamber. It's the difference between the field measurement and the baseline estimate for that particular day and weather conditions. What the data show is that from the 10th of April through at least mid-July, these almonds experienced relatively low to mild tree stress, ranging from about 2 to 6 bars below fully irrigated baseline. And this correlates well with the close matching between crop ET and applied water. Beginning in later July, we see a period where the tree water status becomes more negative and reflects more tree stress. And this carries through the harvest period and actually reaches a most stress point in the later fall. This also corresponds with when there was some cutback in irrigation. So I'm hoping that you can look at the utility of how both techniques were used in tandem and how they can inform one another, and they can raise different management questions, give you more insight, and help you in making management decisions at the time, and also provoke thoughts of what you might do differently in a subsequent season. Field number 11 is a different situation, closer to the Sacramento River, on a class 1 soil, a Columbia silt loam, very deep and very uniform. And as I mentioned, the major issue with this orchard was overly vigorous shading and lower limb dieback. Because of the issues that they've been dealing with, there's been an effort to try to manage this by reducing the water and controlling the vigor. Here you can see our water budget summary. Here's the red line, again, about 44 inches of ET accumulated. But in this case, the applied water is much different than in the previous orchard. You can see much lower, and early in August, irrigation was interrupted, partly, again, to try to control conditions that would minimize diseases like hull rot, alternaria, and also promote hull split and earlier, more uniform development of the nuts for more efficient and timely harvest. Here you can see the water budget shows that ET was about 44 inches, while the cumulative applied water, accounting also for a little bit of spring rainfall after leaf out, was about 25 inches. So we were talking about 19 inches difference between our ET estimates and our applied water. Now, on a face value, from a point of view of a water budget, this could potentially be quite alarming and indicate a need to really step up the irrigation. But again, keep in mind that this was an overly vigorous orchard that was presenting some issues that we're trying to manage. Here's your pressure chamber measurements, the trend line for the stem water potential over the course of the season. Again, this is stem water potential presented as bars below baseline, so it's been normalized. It is the difference between the field measurement and the baseline measurement for each day and set of weather conditions. What you see here is that over the entire season, this orchard experienced relatively low tree stress, and kind of goes hand in hand with the vigor issues and some of the foliar disease issues and things. And so this was interesting in the sense that the water budget kind of pointed out what might be a little bit alarming as too little water, but the tree was indicating that it was not overly stressed, and in fact might have benefited from a little more stress to help try to deal with the vigor and some of the issues in the orchard. So from this example, I hope this demonstrates a stark contrast from what I showed you in field 28, and again shows you how you can start to couple the two different tools and the two different perspectives together to help you have more insight on making your irrigation management decisions. Thank you for joining me on this short tutorial.